I think sometimes we use confusion as a reason not to start, or as a reason to avoid the things that we know we need to do. So I just want to encourage you guys, and as I share some of this information and you start conjuring up reasons in your head for why you shouldn't start, or either making excuses or like, but what about this, and what about this, but what about this, I just want to make it clear that sometimes, and you have to call yourself out on this if it's happening, overcomplication is just like, it's another procrastination tool. Overcomplicating things is typically a way to avoid the things, doing what you know you need to be doing. If you know what you need to be doing, but you're thinking of 101 reasons like why you can't start, or like, well, but what about this, and maybe when I get paid next week, or I'll start my diet on this day, or but I'm a stay-at-home mom and so I can't afford to eat this way, or just there's so many things that we can come up with to stop us from doing the things that we need to be doing. When if you can at least give it your all wherever you are and just start and just press forward and just conquer the basics. Don't worry about whether or not you can, purchase the supplements that, somebody on Instagram is using, or, you can't afford a gym membership, or whatever it is, whatever your excuse is, work with what you have. If you are a stay-at-home mom and maybe you can't afford to eat a lot of protein, and you are using that as a reason to like, well, I can't get started on that because there's no way I'll be able to eat that much protein. Get in as much as you can in your budget. I get it. I've been a stay-at-home mom for most of my adult life. I homeschooled my son from kindergarten to college. So I get it. I know what it's like to, try to have to live off of one income, and like I can't afford all that food that everybody else is eating, and I can't eat organic or whatever it is. People are overcomplicating it. Like we've been talking all week about how to, how many calories should you burn in your workout? How many calories should I eat? And some of us get so stuck on that first step, which if you don't have the steps, you just click on the link that's in my bio and it breaks down the steps for you. But don't stop at step 1 when you're trying to figure out like, how much should I eat? Don't use that as an excuse to not start, because some of us do. We start and we're like, oh, but what about, well, and then my Fitbit says this, but then, I'm not really that active because, I work a desk job, and then and you're so confused about just even the calorie level, or about how many days should I work out? So then you don't even work out at all, because you're like, well, I don't really know how many days I should work out, so I shouldn't start. So when you find yourself overcomplicating it, call yourself out on it. I'm calling you out on it. I have to call myself out on it when I start doing it. And I know that typically like attracts like, so that means that a lot of you guys are probably like me. So when I come to you with stuff like that, when I'm calling you out, that means that I've had to call myself out on it too. I overcomplicate most things. My husband is here and he can attest to that. Mm-hmm. I overcomplicate a lot of things. So ladies, if that's you, or guys, if you're watching, if you're doing that, okay, woman to woman, let's not overcomplicate it and use that as an excuse to not get started, because we'll look up and 2-3 months have passed and we haven't even done the one thing. But because we've been researching it for a while, we kind of feel like we started, but we didn't really. We're like, man, I've been doing this forever and nothing's working. But like you're hopping around. You're like, well, I'll try this calorie level, but then again, maybe I'm not really as active as I think I am, so let me drop it a little bit. And then you hear about that, okay, I need to eat more on the days that I'm lifting, and so you do that. See, overanalyzing. We research things to death. I do it. I know you do. So I need to just say it and be as real as possible with you guys and say that when you find yourself doing that, when you've researched and you found like 4 or 5 different sources that have said the same thing, or sometimes you've just heard it multiple times, like without even researching it, just start walking in that direction. Research, but move. Keep moving while you're researching. Don't sit still and use your research as a reason not to start. And I know that I do that, so that's why I'm saying that. I know that we tend to overanalyze, and so it goes both ways. Some people will spin their wheels because they don't want to do that, but then also some people spin their wheels because they're like, I don't have enough research yet to get started. You probably do. Don't get analysis paralysis. You probably have more than enough information to start moving, to at least move in the thing that you know. Like, there's a few things that are like basics that aren't really up for debate. They're not really going to change. Making sure that you're eating enough food, making sure that you're eating enough protein, making sure that you're eating enough fiber. You know that you need to lift weights in order to keep your metabolism high. Don't overthink those things. Don't necessarily have to try to find the perfect diet, the perfect exercise routine. Don't stress yourself out about the supplements. Don't stress yourself out about, elimination diets and things like that. Like, just start where you are. And sometimes most of us are spending so much time, like, we want to find something else to place the blame on because it's not happening fast enough, but it's our own fault because we're not being consistent, because we're still analyzing. So we're like, well, maybe there's something else, or a food that I'm allergic to, and maybe I should remove this. But you haven't even stuck to the basics for long enough to know. Usually those things are just tweaks that you need to find later on, or when you're fine-tuning things, you can add those in, stuff like supplements, fasted cardio, different like vitamins and stuff like that, or doing intermittent fasting. All these different things that sometimes we're like researching, trying to find, should we do that? Start with the basics and then tweak. If you have not done the basics, if you're still analyzing where to start there. Start with the basics. Eat enough food, eat enough protein, eat enough fiber, drink enough water, lift some weights, be a tweaker. I don't know. I need to like block this guy because I cannot even focus half the time when he's in there. Bad enough he's in the car, but then he like jumps in there too and says something. So that is just the encouragement that I have for you guys today. Encouragement / little bit of booty kicking, like, because I know that we're here, and I know that you guys think the same as me. I catch myself, so I'm calling you out and challenging you to catch yourself too.